Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the final of the 3-minute thesis Interuniversity competition. As you can read on this slide, my name is Kilian Tinenswolak, and it's a delight to be your master of ceremony for this afternoon. Today's competition brings together science and communication, two very important domains, as indeed, if you master speech, but you don't have anything to say, it's not very useful. And also, if you know a lot, if you're smart, if you're hardworking, but you can't make your voice heard, you won't change the world. And that's why to be a great actor of tomorrow, to help the most, to leave your mark on the world, you need both skills. And that's what we celebrate here at the 3MT. Dear PhD students, will you be able to condense years of hard work in a concise and compelling 3-minute speech? Well, great. Allow me to give you a small overview of the 3MT competition. The 3MT celebrates the exciting research of PhD students by challenging them to explain the importance and of their work in just 3 minutes, using a language that a non-specialist audience, which is you, my dear audience, no offense, can understand. Oh, so this competition owns their academic, presentation, and communication skills. The 3MT competitions is a worldwide known competition, as over 900 institutions all over the world, across more than 85 countries, are holding a 3MT event. And today we have the chance to be hearing some candidates coming from all around the world. But where does this worldwide competition comes from? Well, the idea of this competition came about a time when in Queensland, the state of Australia, was suffering from severe drought. And to conserve water, residents were encouraged to time their showers. And many families had a 3-minute egg timer on the wall of their bathroom. And therefore, at this time, the then dean of the University of Queensland's graduate school put two together and created this 3MT competition, with the first session held in 2008. I'll tell you now how these finals will be judged. Of course, to decide of the winner and the runner-up awards, we just mean second place, we have a board of 4 judges, 2 specialists and 2 non-specialists, and balanced in field and genders. So, you will give a round of applause for, it's all right, for Elodie Fourcade is missing, but we still have Anne Schmitz of CLAM Research Unit, Université Paris-Saclay. Then we have Adama Sankare of Radio Networks Operations Manager, Ericsson. Thank you. We then have Ali Denizoskan, Central Supélec Model United Nations Coordinator, Université Paris-Saclay. And finally, we have Olivier Giquel, Central Supélec Provost, EM2C Laboratory of Université Paris-Saclay. All right, so they will give the winner and also the runner-up awards. But we also have a People's Choice Award that will be given by you, my esteemed audience. So be focused. Each voices will count this afternoon. Sorry. To help you judge, I will now present you the judging criteria. About comprehension and content, judges will look at it. It will look at if the presentation provided some clear motivation, background, and significance to the research question. Then if the presentation clearly described the research strategy, design, and results of the research. If the presentation clearly described the conclusion, outcome, and impact of this research. And then about engagement and communication, judges will observe if the oration was delivered clearly and the language was appropriate for a non-specialist audience. Then if the PowerPoint slide was defined and well-defined, and enhanced the presentation. And then if the presenter conveyed enthusiasm for their research and captured and maintained the audience attention, as I'm currently trying to do. Finally, before starting the so expected show, allow me to go through the rules of the competition. PhD candidates who have not graduated are eligible. A single static slide is permitted, presented from the beginning of the oration. No additional electronic media or props are permitted. Presentations are to be spoken word, meaning that you cannot rely on some real written text or visual. The timer is started by Mark when the presenter begins speaking. Give a round of applause for Mark, please. And competitors exceeding 3 minutes are disqualified. No mercy here. The decision of the educating panel is final. But, enough talking. It will be time for you, fellow candidates, to amaze everyone. Your audience, your judges, our viewers online, your coaches, and also your master of ceremony. So we'll start right now with Fanny Lehman. Fanny, she's studying engineering science and system in the LMPS, Laboratoire de Mécanique de Paris-Saclay, with Centrale Supélec, ENS, and the CEA, or Commissariat de l'Énergie Atomique. Her presentation is titled, When Earth Quakes, AI Response. Well, I'm curious about this answer. To tell you a bit about her, Fanny weekends and work days are quite opposite. During the week, her research is rational, behind a computer and looking at the interior of Earth. On weekends, her passion is flying trapeze, where you can't repeat twice the same move. You train outside, no matter temperature or wind, and you fly in the air. Now it's Fanny's turn.
We are in November 29. You are the head of our company. And today you are in just before 11 a.m. The ground starts shaking. After you realize that you have just experienced the first earthquake of your life. The earthquake that has just occurred, now known as the Le Tail Earth, will open new questions in the scientific and industrial community. Seismic activity, also known as seismicity, is a key factor when designing nuclear. In your nuclear company, you could use supercomputers to simulate the effects of millions of possible earthquakes on the structure of the world. But even with all the largest supercomputers in the world, you had started your simulations back in 2019, we'll still be waiting for the result. To replace those supercomputer simulations, I'm using a new type of neural network to give you faster evaluations of all the earthquake scenarios. These neural networks are called neural networks, and they have led to several breakthroughs in their introduction in 2020. What makes them special? They use the power of the Fourier transform, mathematical tool of the 19th century, and they combine it with the efficiency of artificial intelligence. So, let's see how it could happen. Fourier neural operators to predict the of ground motion shape. First, I use complex supercomputers to create 30,000 earthquake scenarios. Then, the neural operator learns to predict the correct ground motion shaking associated with each scenario. Finally, it takes what it has learned and can apply this knowledge to a scenario. One major technical challenge of my PhD is 3D geology, where the power plant. 3D means more memory, longer computation, and a larger model. But it works. I was the first to show that Fourier neural operators are able to predict 3D ground motion accurately and efficiently. To give you an idea, while you wait for the results of one supercomputer simulation, my neural operator can give you 200,000 predictions. You won't be able to solely rely on Fourier neural operators just yet in the problem. But as a head of a company, you could ask your team that the most hazardous earthquake scenarios with this method that has been able to harness the power of AI. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Fanny, for this presentation. It was a great response from AI. We will now welcome Nicolas Frade, who studies education science at the Acte Laboratory of the Université Clermont Auvergne. He will tell you about the rise of a new superpower. Interesting, huh? All right, when he's not studying, Nicolas is a rock singer in a local band, but also a table role-playing game master. It's now your turn to amaze us, man.
In comic books, people with special abilities are often called meta-humans. Now I'm going to tell you how you can turn into this. So, first of all, let's talk about disinformation. Disinformation is the act of giving deliberately at least a partially false information with a malevolent intention. If you add a narrative to it, identifying a villain with a plot, as in comics, then you end up with a conspiracy theory. So, where to go with that? Well, for my thesis, I'm studying a very important superpower. Why do I study this? Because a story is more convincing than an explanation. A story only requires from you a vision of the world based on your own culture and knowledge. So you already have it. An explanation would require extensive vocabulary you would not have. And you know what? It's the basis of vulgarization. Right now, I'm not explaining anything to you. I'm telling you a story. So, I chose for my thesis to study metacognition. Yes, I know, humanities subject and their jargons, right? So, metacognition, what is that? It's the fact of knowing how you learn things. Easy peasy, huh? Well, not that much, because there are many things in metacognition, and in particular, what you know about your own learning abilities, which is called metacognitive knowledge. So, for the current next years, I'm going to show to French high school a new course based on metacognition to teach French students how to know themselves and to discriminate what could be right from wrong. I expect my results to show that metacognitive training will improve critical thinking for French students and help them to figure out if the author of an information is trying to fool them or not. With that new superpower, I hope you'll be able to discriminate all the information you are going to get and you are going to read, and especially online. So, with that, I hope you will become meta-humans. With that new superpower, I hope you will become your own superheroes. In fact, I really, really hope that with this new metacognitive superpower, you are going to become my superheroes. So fight what's wrong and discriminate what's right. Thank you for your attention.
Well, all right. Well, thank you for this presentation, Nicolas. We all wish to become your superhero. And now, Manvi Agarwal, it's now your turn to come on stage. Manvi studies computer science, data, and AI in the H2A laboratory of the Institut Polytechnique de Paris. She will tell us about music-making machines that will supposedly enable anyone to become a musician. Well, seems like I've just found my plan B if my engineering studies don't work out. It's your turn, Manvi. You can go.
You all know what song this is, right? Your brains immediately recognize this beat because music is a universal language. And haven't you all wondered what it would be like to be fluent in this language? To have the incredible talent of a Vivaldi or a Madonna, perhaps? Well, thanks to my research, each one of you can now have that potential. Humans have been using mathematics to study music for thousands of years. And today, we can use computers to analyze and even compose music. But hang on, it's not as easy as it sounds. So music has repeated motifs, it has variations on themes, and it has just enough surprises. So in short, music is just incredibly complex to model. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. What if we took a great big digital bulldozer, scooped up all the music out there on the internet, threw it at a large language model, and we're off for a coffee, right? Well, not so fast. All this data is simply not freely available. So we need to be really, really smart with how we use the limited music data that we do have. So what if we gave our computers information about the structure of music? And what if we used good old-fashioned human input from experts such as musicologists to describe this structure to our computers? Well, that's exactly what we're testing with my research. I combine machine learning with human knowledge. And by doing this, I use the powers of artificial intelligence and, more importantly, human intelligence to make my computer speak your musical language. So all you budding Mozarts out there who don't have the time to go get a PhD in musical composition first, now you can just hum a little tune. Na 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 na, na 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 na. And you can get my computer to accompany you on the piano. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine how cool it would be if we could resurrect Mozart with this technology, right? Well, maybe we don't have to. Maybe the next Beethoven or Beyonce is sitting right here in this very room among you. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mandy, for this great speech. And I really like my Spanish teacher, though I would rather spend my Tuesday afternoon to learn how to make some music instead of learning each week the difference between por and para. Well, now it's the turn of Sir Jesus Alfredo Godinez Leon. He studies in the Graduate School of Chemistry of the ISMO, l'Institut des Sciences Moléculaires d'Orsay. He will tell us about the tales of the nanoparticles, those tiny superheroes against tuberculosis. And well, Jesus sure loved Manvi's presentation as music has a great importance in his life. He always listened to music and singing occasionally. Even when he's working in the lab or he's in the shower, he is listening to music and singing. Music is a way for him to process emotions and thoughts. Now, it's his time to tell us about nanoparticles.
Have you ever had one of those days where you feel like you got something contagious, like an annoying cold? Well, let me introduce you to Emily. She was just a college student when suddenly she started feeling off. But for Emily, it wasn't just a common cold. She was hit with something much more serious: tuberculosis. She's not alone. About 25% of the global population has been infected. Tuberculosis is caused by this sneaky little bacteria that is spread through the air whenever infected people cough, sneeze, or even sing. These germs find their way into our lungs when they are engulfed by specialized cells called macrophages, our lung security guards. The problem? Tuberculosis bacteria are masters of these guys. They hide and multiply inside macrophages themselves, making them hard to defeat. So how can we fight back and treat patients like Emily? We use antibiotics, drugs specifically designed to exterminate bacteria. Yet, these weapons are far from perfect. When we take a pill, the medicine disperses throughout the body, with only a fraction reaching the bacterial battleground. This can lead to unpleasant side effects, like constant vomiting or severe headaches. And this is where my research comes in. Picture this: nanoparticles, tiny warriors 100,000 times smaller than a pill. In my thesis, I developed a new kind of nanoparticle, and you probably guessed it. I encapsulated antibiotics inside it. I loaded these nanoparticles with not one, not two, but three of the most powerful anti-tuberculosis drugs we got. Here's the game plan. We're sending these teeny tiny warriors on a mission, right into the lungs where the action is. The task is simple: infiltrate macrophages in a similar way to how bacteria do. Once inside these lung guards, my nanoparticles will release 3 weapons, all at once, finally killing the sneaky bacteria. This way, instead of the drugs wandering off and causing chaos throughout the body, they are concentrated where they are needed most. Bye-bye terrible side effects. And let me tell you, the results of my research so far have been mind-blowing. These nanoparticles are like expert trap masters, capturing almost 100% of the drug we pack inside. We're now diving in how they enter macrophages and testing them on infected mice. Oh, and remember Emily? Despite the terrible side effects and nearly 4 years of battling tuberculosis, she finally recovered. My research aims to improve that. The nanoparticles I developed promise a safer, faster, and more effective treatment, so people like Emily will never have to endure what she did ever again. Thank you.
Well, Jesus, thank you for this awesome presentation. We're all very happy that Emily recovered, but we hope that thanks to your work, it will be better to recover from tuberculosis. All right, great. Now we will welcome Safa Nejari. Her thesis is conducted at CEREMA, Center for Studies and Expertise on Risk, the Environment, Mobility, and Urban Planning, which is in Clermont-Ferrand, collaborating with the INRAE, National Research Institute for Agriculture, Food, and the Environment, which is also in Clermont-Ferrand. Her presentation is about the evaluation of artificial perception of in agricultural dusty environments. Safa has a sort of collection of diplomas with 3 master's degrees and a university diploma covering high energy physics, astronomy, particle physics, and data science. She is now doing a PhD in agricultural robotics. Who knows, one day she might even become a pilot. So wow, and she also enjoys drawing and stargazing, and it is not a problem for her to wait for hours to see a comet. Well, so much patience. Now we're impatient to hear you with your thesis.
Let's dive into the world of agricultural technology and modern farming. Imagine a farm where robots with high-tech eyes, known as optical sensors, help manage crops efficiently. These optical sensors are like detectives, gathering important clues about plants, soil, crops, and environment. But here is the twist. These optical sensors face a significant challenge: the presence of the suspended dust in the medium, often generated by agricultural activities such as tractor usage, as we can see in the image. So, for instance, imagine I am a sensor and I want to measure the soil moisture from a certain distance from me. However, the dust in the medium, which is between me and the target, makes it really hard for me to get good readings. And this issue not only makes farming more complicated by compromising the security of farmers and machinery, but also has a potential impact on the quality of the food we consume daily. So here where my thesis comes in. We are trying to find ways to help these optical sensors to see better in dusty farm conditions. And in order to achieve that, we are following two approaches in our research. So as some of you might know, sensors collect data in form of signals. These signals are known as electromagnetic waves in physics. So the first approach we are following involves understanding the physical interactions that occur between these electromagnetic waves and the dust particles in the medium, employing some complex mathematical equations within the field of radiative transfer in physics. The second approach we are following entails using these equations to build and develop new numerical models that simulate the dust effect on the propagation of these electromagnetic waves and consequently on the perception of these optical sensors. These models will undergo validation through both on-site and laboratory experiments. Ultimately, these validated models could be used in the future to build new agricultural intelligent robots that are going to be robust in front of dust, meaning that they will possess the ability to correct the collected data instantaneously, thereby enhancing agricultural production efficiency and improving work safety conditions. This, in turn, will ensure the availability of high quality and delicious food on our tables. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sophie, for this great presentation, and we hope that your work will enable agricultors, even in dusty regions, to make some great and healthy products. Now, make a round of applause for Benjamin Loiseau. He's studying humanities with a specialization in architecture, urbanization, and environment at the IQ, Institut Interdisciplinaire de l'Innovation of Télécom Paris. He will tell us about the effects and limits of participation in architecture, particularly in the case study of the Grand Goul social housing complex in Poitiers from 1974 to 2024. And I'll be glad to hear about this. Oh, the anecdote, sorry. Ben is an architect who started a PhD after having worked for more than 10 years. He wants to add more reflection to his practice. There is also his 2-year-old daughter who's here as her kindergarten is closed today.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Carly. She is the one with the yellow jacket here. Carly lived in this social housing project called La Grand Goul in Poitiers, France. When she moved in the 1980s, she remembered it as a very pleasant place, full of life, with flowers on the balconies. But around the year 2000, something changed. The middle class left, and drug dealers arrived. Carly told me she had very little hope that the sharing spirit she remembered from the old days will ever be back. Now, the project needs a renovation. So, as an architect, what should I do? My first option is to do what we usually do, a typical technical renovation, based on the code standard from my Parisian office, far away from the site. But does it really make sense? Is it the best solution to our problem here? Well, according to Carly's experience, it isn't. My other solution is to get away from my office and start doing co-design. Co-designing means that architects and residents are designing together. It helps to make better architectural decisions, and it integrates voices that we do not usually hear. But does it really work? I mean, it's a large-scale project. It's 300 units. As a PhD student, I discovered that the participation of the residents can indeed have an impact, if it's done nicely. While it's not a miracle solution, and it's not easy, it is still a very powerful tool to meet the challenges we face today as a society. Ladies and gentlemen, architecture is not just about buildings. It's about people. It's about community.
It's about how we can co-create our cities to be more sustainable, participatory, and experimental. So, what happened to Carly at the end? Well, after the study, she invited me to the new social community center. It was completely run by the residents. The house warming party was great. It's a first step, out of many for sure. But at least for Carly, hope is back. And maybe soon, the flowers on the balconies of Clermont will return. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, and we are all waiting for the return of these flowers to the Rangou balcony. And I'd like everyone to give again a round of applause for our candidates. They did a lot of work to propose you these presentations, and they worked for many years for this speech. But now it's time to see who will be the winner. And now the judges will retire to deliberate. And the audience, I mean you, will now vote for your winner. And the roles are supposed to be on the slides.
Audience, you will have the people's choice button. You can vote. Judges have the
So you can see the rules right there. It's always about 3 minutes in here. So you can just vote. Everyone excuse me. We're going to do a Q&A session so you can ask your questions to the candidates. And after you can discuss together. So does anyone have a question? So you do? So no one has a small question for the candidates?
Question for Safi. So you were doing a lot of technical and physics work and computer work, but did you also go out in the field, like literally a farmer's field, and get to work with them?
Yes, indeed. We did an experiment in August in order to take experimental data from field in London, and we took some data in order to compare it with our numerical models, so that we are sure that our models are correct. So yeah.
I have a question for Mandy. So you mentioned Beethoven, Mozart, and some singers, but you certainly know that the Indian music is much more complex than Occidental music. And so does it work on Indian music and on the ragas?
So it depends a bit on the training data and how you train your model. So no, it doesn't generalize to all possible music in the world.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question for Nicholas. What's about your metacognition research? I wanted to know more about the students, the age, and could you tell us a little bit more on how you were carrying out, because you didn't have time in 3 minutes, so could you go into a little bit more detail, just a little, how you are going about carrying out this research? So tell us about the students and even the feedback that you're getting from them.
The students
in my study are 14, 15 years old. So they are first year in high school. So this is very important here for, as we can understand in cognitive psychology, this is very important here. This is a turning point where they are starting to get metacognitive data right and building strategies on it. So the importance of the study is I'm not going to embed psychology in any class. I'm going to create a dedicated psychology class. So they would learn about themselves. I would like them to build strategies. So as a turning point, I'm going to teach 14 to 15. And what I would like to do is I'm not going to tell them the whole purpose of that study is that right now, when you are studying this information, people tell you that is right, that is wrong, that is true, that is false. And this is on a psychological way. This is absolutely disastrous because you have a phenomenon, psychological reactance, which causes people, if you tell people they are wrong, they are going to get mad and embark a little more and be more radical about their opinion. So I don't want that. I want people to make their own opinion and not be the one who say, this is wrong. No, this is what you decided is. So metacognitive knowledge, make your own decision knowing how you work and how people are trying to draw your emotional opinions. And that's it. If it works for 14 to 15, I really hope to extend the experiment from 17, 18, and then try to make sure that everyone is behaving the same way. That's it.
Hi, I have a question as a presenter about nanoparticles. So my question is like 3 questions in one. So on what stage of readiness are those nanoparticles are, and have you tested them on like real humans? Like, did it work?
So we are, actually this is like a continuation of a big project. It's a collaboration between our institute, like my supervisor, Alexandra Webb in the Institut des Sciences Nucléaires d'Orsay, and the Institut Pasteur de Lille. So in here, in this institute, we make the nanoparticles, we do all the characterization, we do encapsulation, all of that. And in the other institute is where we perform most of the tests related to the bio, so we test them on cells and also in animals. So they have tested already the nanoparticles in mice. Not with this, because I talked in my presentation, we encapsulated 3 different drugs. Not with these drugs, let's say only the nanoparticles empty. So our idea is to use like a spray, kind of like a spray that will go in the nose and will reach the lungs directly. So they have tested that already, and they have proved with other drugs actually that it can kill the bacteria in there. So this is already tested, but of course we have to do also the same with my formulations. So we'll be with these new drugs. Like they are actually new. They are used for kind of new compared to the classical drugs that are used against tuberculosis. They are used mainly for resistant tuberculosis. So when they cannot use any other drug, like the common ones. So there's a treatment recommended by the WHO based on these 2 drugs. So that was the goal in the thesis, like work with this and try to encapsulate them at the same time. And yeah, we're on the way. Yes, so we are actually testing. Also, we are really interested. We have tested already with empty nanoparticles, and we know how they enter the macrophages. Now we are, we would like to test that, but with the drugs, because obviously it's important for test. And your last question was about the humans. Well, not yet. So it's still on, yeah, like we're still like in the mice part, like only with mice. But we hope that in the future, probably after my PhD, it will continue and we'll reach that point.
And another question is that, like, when it will be done and commercialized to the public, do you think it will be accepted by people?
Well, that's a good question because the nasal route is a little bit more complicated maybe than the oral route. But we have the advantage that it can be more effective for tuberculosis for this case because the goal is to reach the lungs and the site of infection directly. Because if you use oral administration, you always have several issues, side effects, and so on. So I think it's a promising option, like for many countries where tuberculosis is really active. I think it's a very promising option because normally the treatments also are long, like in the oral administration. So the idea with these treatments is to really try to make it faster. So it will be like a little bit more easy.
Thank you.
Does your treatment impart superpowers to people?
Well, we wish.
Do any of your theses have applications that could give superpowers to people?
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of the music. Yes. Okay, there we go.
All right, thank you for these questions. Other questions, maybe? Do you have a question?
To Jesus Alfredo Cortines Leon, what happens with nanoparticles after they deliver the drugs because they are in the lungs, and a nanoparticle in the lungs usually means something bad for the organism?
Yeah. I understand your question and the concern, of course. This is something very, very important. We have to make sure that the formulations are not harmful for the living beings. So they are composed by biodegradable and FDA-approved polymers. So yeah, we work with polymer nanoparticles, and but this was something like really we took care of. We use one. Well, the main polymer has those characteristics. It's already approved by the FDA, and we know that it will degrade eventually. We know the subproducts and so on. So that part is already covered. And we're also working with another polymer, and for that one, we are still in the process of making it approved by the FDA, let's say. But it also consists of biodegradable, and it's also biodegradable, and the subproducts like are after the decomposition, like also they are not harmful. We already know this. So yes, and we have tested also the formulations to see if they are toxic for cells, and we are already testing them actually, not me myself, our team of course, in mice. So they at the concentrations we work, they are not toxic for the mice. So we still have to see what we will expect for humans. This is something really important.
Other questions?
Shall I nudge the judges? I will nudge the judges, yes.
Okay. I don't know if they're done yet, but you can also ask some simple questions like, why did you want to do this? You know?
Okay, well.
I have a question for Benjamin Loiseau. I wanted to ask you why you chose that particular example as a basis for your PhD thesis in architecture. Why can you? Because as I said, I don't have knowledge of the area of architecture. Is there particular things about your example that attracted you to that?
Yeah, actually it does. What is interesting with this site, this project, is that it used to be a very participatory project from the 70s, like an exemplary project from the 70s. We kind of worked for the first 20 years.
And suddenly, in the year 2000, it changed. So we are kind of redoing participation 40 years after the first try. So my thesis is about is also about how we can compare what we have done in the 70s, what we have right about it since 40 years in the scientific domain, and how we can do something better now, and something that's going to stay over than 20 years. So that's a problem for the project, that it can, if it's done nicely, work for the first generation, and after one generation, it's kind of begun. So it was interesting to see what happens there and how we can do it better. And after, we have been very, very lucky for this, for my thesis, because when I started, I had no site. And we just went there and say, oh, look, your project needs a renovation, you can do participation, you did participation there 40 years ago. And we've been very lucky because they said, yes, this project needs a renovation. Let's try to do something together. Plus, you're a cheap searcher who's going to think about that. You can come, yeah, let's come and write it. And now we work for 3 years on it. And what is very important for me is that we have some results, some concrete results that this project will be done, So it's ongoing now.
And if I can ask a second question, have you come up, are there other projects that you have found out about or read about that are similar perhaps in France or in other European countries to the one that you were working on in your PhD?
There is many projects like this. What is particular with the way I'm doing it is I bring methods that come from design. So design studies, so most of the time it's made on little scale or on a theoretical field. It works perfectly on a small scale and a theoretical field. So I'm trying to implement this kind of thing into architecture, which is not very well seen in architecture actually, because in France, architecture is architecture, it's not design. So it's kind of original way of putting it on. But there is many, since the year 2000 now, we can say 2010, many participatory projects are coming now. But they are mostly from the social field. I'm looking at it more on the project side.
Thank you for this question. Any other questions, maybe?
Actually, the question you asked earlier, I thought we could put that to the whole group, but why did you choose to do a PhD? This is a good question. Okay, bad question. What's this? What advice would you guys have for someone who wanted to perhaps thought about pursuing research, pursuing a PhD? Do you guys have any advice for someone?
Yes, I think Benjamin and I can totally answer to that question because we are alike. Benjamin and I have been professional for over 10 years and we started studying again over 30 years old. And as you can see, with kids. So when time comes, when you're very passionate about something, you'll find the strength to do it. You'll find the strength to get to your classes feeding your daughter by the bottle. Because that's what we did. And if you're really passionate about your subject, you should go on. You really should. If I hadn't been encouraged by my actual supervisor, then I wouldn't be here. She told me, well, you can and you should, but nobody told me before. And I couldn't believe it when she told me. And then I got the funding and thought, oh, okay, so I guess I'm a PhD candidate now. And that came as a surprise. But, you know, if you really like your subject, and you enjoy my subject, then you should go for it, really. My advice is, you should at least try. Because what are the odds? What is the worst case scenario? The doctoral school is going to say, well,
this is not enough. So you know it's not enough. But hadn't you tried and they would have said yes? Would that be a regret? And that's my final word.
I also have one last question.
Yeah, you can watch my finger movements and guess the length of the movement. Yeah, that's time for you. That's like.
You have time for one more question?
Thank you. I have a question to Fanny about the earthquakes and AI and modeling. Why did you choose that subject? And as I clearly understood, you're doing like with machine learning, you simulating the effects of earthquakes on the nuclear power plants. And did you get inspired by the accident of Fukushima Daiichi disaster? Like, because it was also because of the failed estimations in the power plant structure to withhold the tsunami and stuff.
And my interest for the PhD was not related specifically to this accident. I studied mathematics and I'm interested in environmental questions in a very broad sense. There are so many challenges to tackle that I explored different fields during my studies. And for my PhD, I wanted something related to the Earth on quite a large scale. So like not looking at just one city, what happens in one city, and something more general and with a physical problem behind. And I was more interested by the methodology at first sight, and I wondered, we discussed about why doing a PhD, and in fact before doing my PhD I didn't know if I wanted to do research or go more towards the industry. And so I chose the PhD at the CEA because it's a kind of mix between both. And so I have both experiences on a daily basis. And at the CEA, the one main interest is for nuclear safety. And my PhD comes after a project that had been initiated after the Fukushima accident. So there is also a link, but it's not the link I directly chose. It comes from like 10 years, more than 10 years of research that ended up where we are actually researching with my PhD. Thank you.
No. Yeah, I know, that's why I'm triple checking, making sure. Alright, so the stage is now for the jury. We would like to invite all four jury members. Okay, so jury, first we will present the People's Choice Award, and then we will present the runner-up. No, the People's Choice Award, and then we will do the general feedback, and then we will do the runner-up, and then the winner. So I'm going to give you the certificate for the People's Choice Award. Thank you.
So the People's Choice 2024 Interuniversity final goes to Fanny Lehmann.
Congratulations.
Yes. And now we'll give the judges the microphone for the general feedback.
Okay, so congratulations to all the candidates for what you've done for today for just 3 minutes. You probably prepared for I don't know how many hours. But yeah, I'm just gonna go give some very short feedback on each and every one of you. So Fanny, okay, all right, so very clear speech. We understand the outcome of your research very clearly. We understand how AI can help us in mobilization of earthquakes and mitigate the risk of sensitive infrastructure, which will probably be also applied to this apply to infrastructure. Nicolas, potentially groundbreaking research. You're preaching prior here because I'm also teaching languages. Looking forward to the outcome, and we liked the parallel between learning and superpowers. Manvi, amazing stage presence and interaction with the public. Yeah, we need more research on AI and human interaction. Safei, thank you for enlightening us on the link between the uses of AI and agriculture to address the most urgent problem of world hunger. And Benjamin, congratulations for getting out of your comfort zone as an architect to put the inhabitants back in the center of architecture. Yeah, sorry, very sorry. Jesus. Okay. Here you are. Congratulations for putting up a really neat presentation, extremely clear, and I mean, the thing is that potentially everyone can be sick, but you're giving us hope, and this is really heartening for us. So, well done.
Each candidate gets a certificate. Do we do that, or should we just go to when you run around? We'll do the certificates. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so now we have the runner-up.
Yes, I have the pleasure to announce the runner-up. But first, congratulations to all of you. I think on the topic of conveying your topic with enthusiasm, you got all the top ones. Well done. It was really interesting for us. And runner-up is Manvi.
And the winner now, okay. So I will not speak too much. So we really enjoyed this presentation. It was very nice. I would like to thank you for spending many times, a lot of time to prepare. It was I think it was a success for all the 6 of you, and you should really remember that as a very good moment. And it's very important for you to be able to convince the people you are talking to, because it's not. You don't have to do only science. If you do science and no one trusts you, then there is no meaning. So you are able to do science, but you are also able to convince people to explain what you do. So I think it's a really good exercise. I really like to congratulate all of you. But now, let's say who is the winner? The winner is Jesus.
Participants to come up here and the 2 lovely coaches, and we can have a little photo and one round of applause.
C'est de côté,